Hi, senior. My name is Amber, and you either know me, or maybe I know your parents, or somehow we have a connection. Um, but you likely just received a card from me or my kids in the mail. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about where the project to write cards to graduates came from. I have been a teacher in the public school setting for the last 20 years, and teaching is truly a passion of mine. I have never had a day in 20 years that I haven't wanted to get up and go to school and teach. And these last couple weeks, being sheltered in place at home with this coronavirus has been so exceptionally hard. I miss my students terribly, as I'm sure your teachers miss you. So I have been at home with my own kids. I have a son who is 10 and a daughter that is 8. And if you received a card that has some questionable handwriting, it is likely to have been written by one of them. But please know that the sentiment behind that card is genuine, and we wanted to wish you a very genuine congratulations on this huge milestone and accomplishment in your life, because we know that graduation is a huge accomplishment and one that needs to be recognized. We know that your graduation ceremonies are either canceled at this point or most likely just postponed, hopefully postponed, and will likely be rescheduled for a later date. But for most people that have their graduation assemblies postponed, your hearts might be hurting. And if that's the case, I just want you to know that there are hundreds of teachers that have watched you grow and prayed for you and your success throughout the years, and their hearts are hurting too. So I wanted to tell you a little story, and you can take away a lesson from it, or you can just listen for entertainment and not take anything away. The choice is yours, because you are at the point of graduation, and so you don't have to learn any more lessons. But when I graduated high school in 1995, my daughter likes to call it the 19s. And at one point she asked me if that was when the times were black and white. So, I feel a little old, but okay. In 1995, the summer after I graduated, I, let's say, was very excited about graduation. And I was flexing my newly found wings of almost being an adult. And I was making some questionable choices. Nothing illegal, nothing life-changing. However, I was just taking some liberties with some things that maybe I had never done before. Pushing curfews and maybe being less than respectful in the way that my dad had always taught me to be. So anyway, at one point it got really close to the time at which I was supposed to leave to go to college. And my dad invited me to come into the kitchen. Now, my dad raised me as a single parent in Northwest Arkansas. I'm a Southern girl at heart. But anyway, he called me into the kitchen one day, and on the stove, there were 3 pots of water boiling. And it didn't make much sense at the time. I thought, are we cooking dinner? Like, I don't get this. But he sat down and he said, let's just talk. And I had a really busy summer working and hanging out with my friends. I knew it was going to be the last time that I had seen many of them. And so I was a little inconvenienced by sitting down and having to talk with him, but I made time to sit with my dad. And In one of the pots, he put some eggs, and in another pot, he put some long pasta, some spaghetti noodles. And in the last pot, he put some coffee beans, or some ground up coffee. Okay, so we sat there for, I don't know, 10 minutes maybe, and we talked. And as the water boiled, we didn't pay any attention to it. And pretty soon, he goes over and he turns all the pots off, and slowly drains the water away, and he brings the food over to the table. And he lays the eggs out on a plate, and he puts the pasta on a plate, and he pours the rich coffee into a cup. And he sits down, and he looks at me, and he says, "Tell me what you see." And my wisecrack self, I was thinking like, well, this is barely a meal. Like, I'm not sure what I see. And he says, I said, "Well, Dad, I see some eggs." And he goes, "No." He goes, "Yeah, you do. You see eggs." He goes, "But you see, the eggs, when I put them in the pot, they were very delicate and fragile. They would have broken very easily." He said, "But when I put them in the boiling water, now they are hardened and they could withstand pressure." And I'm like, "Yeah, they're hard-boiled eggs." He goes, "Yeah, but you could do a lot to them and they wouldn't break. They wouldn't break apart as easy." I said, "Okay." So then he says, "Well, look at the pasta." He goes, "What do you notice there?" And I said, "Well, it's loose. It's soft." And he said, "Exactly." He goes, "The pasta that was once rigid and unbending, I put it in the boiling water, and now it became flexible, and it just won't hold its form at all." I said, "Okay." And he goes, "Take a look at the cup that holds the coffee." And he said, "Tell me about that." And I said, "Well, it turned into coffee." And I said, "The water turned the beans into coffee." And he said, "No." He said, "No, Amber, that's not what happened." He said, "The beans changed the water." He said, "I need you to make this distinction. I need you to understand this in your head." He goes, "In the first two situations, the boiling water changed each item. The boiling water represents the adversity that you encounter when you go away. You're going to go to college and you're going to run into challenges. And those challenges, you can let them harden you, or you can let them break you down and change your value system, change the values that I've taught you your whole life. Or you can be the coffee beans, you can be the coffee, and you can try to change the environment that's around you." Because you see, in the example of the coffee beans, it never changed its form. It worked to change the environment that it was in. And he sat there and he looked at me and he said, "Amber, I want to know, when you go to college, are you going to let it change you? Are you going to let it change the values that I've worked so hard to instill in you, the teachers have worked hard to instill in you, that the administrators and the counselors and all the people that have worked to help create who you are, is that all going to go away when you encounter a struggle? Or are you going to work to rise above that and try to make a difference in the world around you? And I guess it was in that moment, even though it would probably be years later that I would fully commit to becoming a teacher, but it was in that moment that I knew in my heart that I wanted to do something that would help change the environment around me. So I send you this message today because even though we may never have met face to face, even though our connection may only be because I know your parents, or I may be a friend of one of your parents, I am so proud of the work that you've done to get you to this point where you're just about to graduate. And whether that's in a full assembly setting or in a virtual setting, whatever it is that marks this accomplishment for you, I know the work that it took to get there. And this stupid coronavirus and this digital learning and everything that our world is going through right now, you can either let it harden you, or you can let it weaken your spirit, or you can take it and you can learn from it, and you can work to change the environment that surrounds you. And that work you do, it may not have an impact on today, and it may not have an impact on tomorrow, but it will be felt. It will be felt in the years ahead. And so, congratulations. And just know that this card was sent with a very much heartfelt gesture of love and congratulations. And I just wish you the best, as I know all of your teachers and administrators and counselors and parents and aunts and uncles and grandparents and brothers and sisters and everybody in your support network that has believed in you all along the way. I know that they're rooting for you too. So, good luck in the future. And take care.